Yes, here we go. It's time for the P.M.P. After probably the most unusual Celtic away result in the history of the Champions League. 0-0, Celtic away in the Champions League, unheard of, let alone against bona fide proper European competition in the shape of last season's Europa League winners, Atalanta. And tonight, Terry, I would like to dedicate this game to one phrase, and I flipped it. Remember the old term, the old flip it term that we used to use? Well, flipped it the other way. Tonight was about points, not plaudits. Ain't that a nice ring to it? Such a nicer ring to it for a Celtic fan's point of view. Rather than being consumed by a manager's ideology, tonight we're back focused on what Celtic put on the board. And that was the important thing. And it was a 1 point away that nobody expected us to get. Nobody banked on. If we'd came out of the Dortmund away game, then the Atalanta away game with Nish, nobody says anything. Nobody questions it. Nobody's bothered. Nobody cares. That's okay because they're two excellent teams. Instead, though, without worrying about plaudits, but caring about points, we get a sensational, in my opinion, draw against a proper classy side. Before we get into all that,
we can do both, Bhoycie. We can do points and plaudits.
Well, whatever you want, mate. Whatever you want, mate. We'll probably go through a few points as well. Before we do all that good stuff means give us a like, give us a share, buy some hair if you need to. And remember, and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, never miss a bus. If you want a tasty pasties treat, it's at piesports.com and it's fucking bus 1888 as the code. And if you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, $1.99 a month, it's up to you. Content's free anyway. But it does help keep the wheels on the road, and it keeps guys like Terry Robb happy in his job. Isn't that right, Terry?
Yeah.
Well, he sounds happy, doesn't he? He sounds really happy. Right, let's get the lowdown, mate. Let's go back to your favourite thing, the lineup, your perception of it as before a ball's been kicked. Where are you sitting at? Is it the lineup you expected? What's the key differences, or what is it you expected that Rodgers didn't do?
Goalkeeper back four was obvious. Midfield three is his go-to midfield three. The wide two are his first choice wide two, and he's gone for Ada instead of Kyogo, which is probably the only part that would have caused any sort of eyebrow raising amongst the support pre-match. Wouldn't say I was shocked. I can understand the logic in it. I think what he's thought is, if we've got him up there, we can possibly go a bit more direct at times, and hopefully he'll be able to hold the ball up, allow us to get the midfielders and the wide men forward from their slightly withdrawn positions that they were in tonight compared to Dortmund away. So I totally understand the logic. I mean, on the eye, you probably say Ada maybe didn't do what we needed him to do, but he still went through a part of work, and it was a thankless task.
No, I disagree. I'm all ready for it, because I think actually we've discussed this before about having the options, right? See, having the options of Ida and Kyogo, it's the differences of the challenges that the defenders face. And when Ida's done what he's done is he's working the body, mate, if it was a boxing match, right? He's getting them shattered. See, Kyogo's movement is so much more exaggerated and emphasised because those defenders have had such a hard hustle from the work that Ida's done, albeit it's not maybe, the greatest work of all time that he's been up to, but he's shattering them in a different way. Then you've got this other conundrum of a guy you've got to keep looking over your shoulder at, and that's where the yin and yang of these two strikers for Celtic makes such a difference. Whichever one you start, the other one brings a completely different box of tricks to the party. Is that not right?
No, 100%. And what I said was, Ada performed a thankless task. And if you, to the naked eye, he probably didn't look as effective as we'd hoped he would have been in the role that he was put in. But he was still performing a task. And as you say, whenever Ada starts and Kyogo comes on, Kyogo looks electric compared to Ada. But whenever Kyogo plays and Ada comes on, his strengths then come to the fore because, as you say, the defense has been trying to deal with one puzzle. Now they've got a completely different puzzle. And I think that's why Kyogo looked such a live wire whenever he came on, is because it was just completely different assignment for that back four to what they'd had up until that point. Going back to the lineup then, everything else was was sort of self-explanatory. I mean, I think
Bernardo, that was only the one I was
yeah,
maybe.
Hitati Bernardo. There's arguments there. I think he's gone for energy. I think Hitati just getting around the park. Although see when Bernardo came on, I know he wasn't on that long. I thought Bernardo was excellent when he came on.
Classy, didn't he?
I'm not saying Hitati his energy and his movement around the park means that Bernardo can't move, but just Hitati's that little buzz bomb sort of player. That was probably the only other one that could potentially have been up for debate.
So we get into the game, and see, to be honest with you, I thought in the first half Celtic competed well. When we got forward, the pace, and I tried to not try to be a smart ass, but I said to you, away from home, when you've got a focal point like Ida, the pace of Adam Ida, then the pace of Dyson Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn on the either wings, I mean, you're up the park anyway, right? Kyogo's like that's three of them using their pace as a weapon. C2 with someone who can hold it up a bit. That's so effective away from home. And I still thought we looked a threat. Nicholas Kuhn to me is the most transformed player I've seen for 6 months. He joined in January, his first 6 months. This guy, I don't know what teeth was it. He said he lost his wisdom teeth. I never had anything like it in my life as an excuse. Like, I'm like, this guy's going to be.
I know, this guy's had it.
I'm like, he's had it. Mate, come on. You know what I mean? I'm back in the squash court with a hair transplant. This guy's struggling. With new teeth. Getting 10 grand, 20 grand a week at Celtic. Anyway, what he ends up doing, though, after a proper pre-season, he looks like a different player. It's a huge transformation with him. And I actually loved him as an outlet tonight. Particularly in that first half, there was a moment where he had a 5-yard head start the defender has.
I thought it was 10. Well, he just left him for dead, didn't he?
But he's actually running wider as well.
Yeah.
And then he cuts in, and it's very difficult, but he wins you a corner. Celtic had 3-4 corners in this game. Whilst it might look like the optics, and you watch, for those who've not seen the game, they'll see the optics and look like it was all Atalanta chances, the underside of the bar, a Schmeichel save with his knees that was a bit tight. All these instances might look like we were on a hiding to nothing, but it was Celtic who had, I think, 4 corners before Atalanta had their first. Now, that doesn't win you football matches, but what it tells you is we're in the right areas of the park to, justify these set pieces. I thought on the counter they looked set up, maybe as they would any team. And finally, Celtic tonight looked a side willing to play more counter-attacking football than let's just go 11v11 football class against football class, which ain't always going to work. Tonight, it looked like we're trying to utilise the counter-attack better. Whether that was because of Atalanta's shape, I don't know. But boy, you see the effects of that pace from the wide areas, don't you? And you start thinking, you get a wee chance here. Something falls in your lap. Hey ho, we could have won that tonight, I thought at times as well. The biggest thing for me was when you're relying on those counter-attacking moments, that means obviously the game is in the majority getting played in your own half. How do you react to that? How do you deal with that? Now, the defence that we were speaking about on the weekend, maybe me and you are very supportive of the defence, to be fair to us. But if you looked at the live chat on the bus, that centre-back pair weren't capable of creating the foundation for these counter-attacks if you'd bought into everything that people were saying. However, after tonight, I'm sure a few folk have changed their minds, no?
Yeah, cover off a few things there. So whenever Kuhn did leave, it was Martin de Roon actually who plays for Holland. He left him absolutely
Martin
for dead. Martin de Roon. De Roon, he used to play.
Yeah? Great surname.
He used to play. He played in England for a while. I think he might have been with Swansea, but he plays regularly for the Dutch team. And I thought, right, now all we have to do is try and isolate Kuhn and de Roon and let Kuhn do his stuff. But I think after that roasting, de Roon made sure he was picking up Ida, where he wasn't just going to be exposed to that electric pace. And I think, as you've touched on there, across these away games, in particular the away games, I think Maeda and Kuhn are going to be a weapon on the counter-attack. But what I don't want, and what you might, again, anyone who's not watched the game or anyone who maybe reads a newspaper article tomorrow around the game will think Celtic have set up, they've parked the bus, they've just hung in there for dear life, and they haven't tried to attack. We had plenty of opportunities to attack, and there were times that we potentially could have created good chances. We were a bit wasteful in possession. I thought we were wasteful in possession when we had the ball quite a lot in the first half, and we were inviting pressure onto ourselves a little bit just because we worked so hard to get the ball back, and then when we had it, we were a little bit wasteful. Johnson, Bhoycie at times. You're looking for a bit of respite, and you get that respite when you're in possession, but when you give it straight back to them again, you're just inviting the pressure onto. And I just felt there were times in the first half that we were really
agree.
Out.
We highlighted that. We were watching, just so I can touch on that bit, so we go point for point. There was a moment where Schmeichel has time to do whatever he wants to do with the ball, goes short, 3-yard square pass to a fullback, gets given back to him. We hesitate. We let the whole Atalanta team, all of 10 of them, into our half, and then hoof it anyway. And guess what? Of course, it's going to go to the opposition very quickly as well. Ryan Gallagher, it's my wee mum's Linda Gallagher's funeral tomorrow, boys, after a very long battle with cancer. So the point has really cheered me up a bit tonight. Thanks, boys. Well, much love to you, Ryan. At the bottom of the page in the bio, there's the old Twitter links and all that. Drop me a wee DM. I remember losing my dad and stuff, mate, like years ago. So if you ever need a wee chat and all that, I'm here. And much love to you. Anyway, though, Terry, as I'm saying, with regards to that, you're right. There was still those moments of hesitancy. There was moments of don't overplay it when you don't need to, especially if the end outcome is going to be you hoof it long anyway. All you've done is hoof it 20 seconds longer. 20 seconds. I hope that wasn't the vodka.
No.
20 seconds later than what you were going to. But by the time you have, their whole team's in your half. That then invites the pressure. There's going to be moments of naivety when we've got the ball still. This is still a work in progress, in my opinion. But what you can't deny is overall, it seemed more conducive to the fixture, playing the fixture. Remember that term? Is that lager? You spilled a lager.
There's a massive clean-up operation on here.
Oh, Terry spilled a beer. It's not milk, is it?
No, it's Guinness. Listen, see, getting into this game,
yes.
And let's not dress this up other than anything it is. This is one of the top teams in Italy. The name might not be the same as some of the other names, but this is one of the best teams in Italy. If this Red Napoli, who this team finished easily ahead of last season, we'd be talking in even different terms. This is a very, very good team. They're the top scorers in Italian football.
They're the only team to beat Leverkusen last year in all competitions.
Yeah, and I think Arsenal might have went to this stadium in game week 1 and drew 0-0 as well. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Arsenal went in game week 1 and drew 0-0, and we know how good a side they are. If when I was thinking about this game, if you'd said at the start Celtic will keep this team out, I couldn't have seen it happen. I just couldn't have seen it happen with our record, with their record, and with a defensive lineup that I felt would not be able to keep a clean sheet. Now, if I was thinking about how do you approach this game, and we sometimes do this with the young lads whenever they're playing against a team from way leagues up in total different classes, it's you can't see yourself getting through a game unscathed. But when you break it down into smaller chunks and try to make it less of a problem, and so instead of 90 minutes, how are we going to hold this team out? Let's reduce that to 15 minutes. Let's get through the first 15. And I'm sitting watching it as a fan, and I've got these timelines in my head, and I'm thinking, right, first task here, let's get through the first 15 unscathed. Then let's get through the next 15. And do you know what? You're only 15 away from halftime. You get in, you regroup, you do the same thing in the second half. Now, it was only when it got to the very last 15 that I'm starting to think, yeah, do you know what? this is on here. We've got something. We've got a real chance of doing this. And I'm still, with 1 minute to go, I'm still thinking something's going to happen here. It's going to go in off Scales' knee or something. Do you know what I mean?
Which I get, because that's your heart rule in your head, which I felt the same. I think it was about 73, 74 minutes, and I was like, this is now getting to the territory.
Yeah, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm going to be disappointed when we get beat, rather than the usual after we concede the first, we've conceded 3, and I've made peace with it, in the space of 5 minutes. Tonight, I was like, fucking it. But you know what? If you actually let your head rule it and you watched how we were defending, we were on course to do what we did.
Yeah.
Every single defensive clearance. This is what I loved. Scales and Trusty, by the way. And hey, funny when you back a player who's done absolutely very little wrong, but became a scapegoat because even when Celtic win all the league games bar one, draw with the other team that had 100% records, there becomes a player who's shite. Who's still not playing his best position yet. I'm not saying you said that, by the way. But the negativity towards Trusty, I knew was too much, too far. We've now watched him in a backs against the wall job, right? He's got more about him than we thought, or many thought. There's a reason this guy's been signed. And Scales, what I love about Scales is what he's added to his game, in my opinion, in terms of defending. See when he's a last-ditch clearance, Terry, it's never just to the side of him. It's never like, it's always like angled like forward, out the box. Even when he's sliding in and he's going back the way, his clearances are so, there's more to it than just clearing the ball last ditch. He's making sure the ball is actually going to a safe place as well. And by the way, never in my life have I watched the best era, the Martin O'Neill era, or the Strachan era with 2 last 16 appearances without games like tonight. This is part of it. This is meant to happen when you're Celtic in Europe. You're meant to have games where you're right up against the cosh and defenders need to defend. It might not always be pretty, but see tonight, it's the team that come away with the plaudits and we come away with a point. I'm sick of this bullshit in football where, well, at least they stuck to their philosophy and, it didn't work, but they were brave. Fuck brave. See, braving the ball is one thing. See, tonight I seen bravery at the other side of football, which is such a big part. And funnily enough, one of them has brought us a point when not one of us fancied it. As you rightly say, Atalanta are proper competition, mate. Xabi Alonso was on course for a complete invincible season. No one thought Atalanta would win that Europa League final last year, and they did. Us away to them after a 7-1 humping against Dortmund. Come on.
That team are potential last 4 material, Bhoycie, depending on how the tournament plays out. And
I didn't get carried away, Terry. I just want to talk 24.
No, they are. Atlanta, they are. And they I mean, if you ask me now who'd go further in the tournament, them or Dortmund, I probably would go for Atlanta. I think. See the back four. I think I think they probably deserve just a little individual touch on each one. So Alistair Johnson booked on 8 minutes. I'm thinking you're never getting through this. Not when your physicality is one of your main attributes. How's he going to get through 82 plus minutes?
And then that tackle in the first. Remember the tackle in the first half?
Yeah.
The one he does that goes out for the corner, and you're going. As soon as he dives in, you're thinking they just want to give a penalty for these sort of challenges now.
How's he going to get through this? One more mistime tackle. European ref. He'll probably go. But he got through it superbly. On the other side, I thought he was a little bit wasteful at times on the ball. But you've got to remember with this lad. This lad's never played in this environment before. Yes, he's come through the academy at Barcelona, but he's not played in the Champions League. He's not played anything near it, and he's only had a couple of games for us. So, very, very happy with his performance. I didn't see anything in his performance that makes me think downgrade on Greg Taylor. I think, again, it's early days. And you're making sort of snap judgments, but on what I've seen, not just tonight. I think I might have said this at the weekend as well. I think he's on a par with Taylor at worst, just based on what I've seen so far. And by the way, he wasn't far off scoring with an effort that was deflected. The goalkeeper saved
I think it's a road to get back in the team.
Yeah.
But and that's not, by the way, a criticism of Taylor, but when you get an opportunity like Bhoycie has, Alex will just call him before folk start digging up the pronunciation. But when you've got a guy like Bhoycie playing the way he is right now, doesn't matter the position it is. If you're out the team through whatever reason, getting back in should be difficult. That's called proper competition. And I think right now, it will be definitely an uphill battle for Taylor to get back in, regardless of what he's done before. The guy who's got the jersey and is in form stays in the team.
100%.
Simple.
Scales. We don't need to say anything more. The bigger the challenge, the bigger he becomes. I thought he was excellent tonight. I really, really did. And Trusty, whilst I was non-committal on Trusty, and I was careful to be non-committal on him, I also inferred that I didn't fancy him. And I think my take on tonight's game is that was his best performance in a Celtic jersey by some distance. Now, is that because tonight he had to defend? And I'm thinking about somebody else that I was critical of in terms of Starfelt. And when we're playing SPL games and the other team are doing what we did tonight and defending, and you've got all the possession against them and you're trying to break them down, I have felt Trusty has looked quite awkward in possession. But is it a case of he's actually a really good defender, and whenever he needs to defend, he's able to defend? Because see, tonight, he defended. I thought he was immense. I thought he was excellent in the air. He was excellent in the deck. No, he gave away a stupid free kick right at the end. Do you remember they had the free kick, and you're thinking, if they don't score from this one, we'll probably see it out. And then it hits the wall, and then he just flies in and gives him another one from the exact same position.
That's when you start thinking this is Celtic in Europe.
I know.
We're just determined. We're determined to do what we always do. But the reality is, and what you just said about Trusty there, Terry, is a defender getting judged over the most defending he had to do in one 90-minute spell. And we're now going, he's actually all right.
I know.
Fuck it. I mean, incredible, isn't it? It's actually incredible. The most defending a defender's had to do in any 90 minutes for Celtic, he's came out with his best performance. I wonder if that makes him a half-decent defender. I just wonder. And by the way, Scales, I'm glad you touched on him. He's just fucking determined, like, no two ways about it, to defy everyone and anyone, and probably defy his own skill set. And just like, I'm just keep getting better and better.
Let's look at the cold facts as a parent.
I prefer him without the ginger curtains, though, mate. To be honest with you, like, I'm just like that, mate. Like, speak to me, Albie, and like, just get the head shaved, mate. Just get a wee bit Raj. Because
this is Liam Scales, brought in from Shamrock Rovers, playing beside Trusty, brought in from Sheffield United, playing in the Champions League against one of the best teams in Italy in their back garden and excelling.
But to be fair, this is what I love, and maybe we underestimate being Celtic. You just described Atalanta's ground as a back garden. So my mate who was around watching the games, Rangers supporter, Barry, right? He couldn't believe that this is one of the top teams in Italy with this. He's like, that's their ground. Oh, mate, they're massive right now. That is a back garden, mate, compared to Celtic Park. We play in a fortress. We play in a proper theatre of football. This is a place where it's like, let's start getting real again. You know, I thought Celtic tonight struck me as a team playing, and it's not about playing for the manager. Usually I'm all about, Brendan's tactics and that. See, tonight I just seen #Lenny Ball in action. And funnily enough, whenever Neil Lennon was in charge of Celtic, he's the guy who got the biggest pelters. I know about the lockdown season. We don't need to go into that. But in terms of European results, he has the best points on the board, and yet he is the least plaudits as a manager. I tell you what I prefer as a Celtic fan. I've always preferred points on the board because I support Celtic. I don't support a manager being the embodiment of a football club. I support the team. And I felt tonight, I looked at that, and that was quite far removed from what gets associated with Rodgers. And I thought was the closest I've seen to Lenny Ball. And funnily enough, Lenny Ball gets all the points, Terry. Normally in Europe, Rodgers suddenly picks up a very unexpected away point. what impact do you think it has in terms of our path now in this mad Champions League format that we're in? Because for me, that is a point gained massively. It was meant to be 3 points for the first game, 0 for the next two, and then we see where we're at. And I think the draw has been favourable. This game wasn't one of the favourable ones. So
we're
a point out, that's fucking massive, mate. Where does it leave us now?
Ahead of schedule. 3 games in, ahead of schedule. We've still got 3 home games. I mean, we can't take them for granted. Well, we won't take the Leipzig game for granted, but we can't even take the other games for granted because you're playing against
No one is though. But I just mean
I think we're taking it for granted.
I think you're right to stay ahead of schedule.
I think we're taking it for granted that we'll beat Bruges and Young Boys.
Who is?
Just a general feeling amongst the support that.
No, an ambition though has to be there though, Terry.
I know.
I just said I expect us to lose the 2 away games that we've just featured in. So, that's an expectancy as well. The other thing is when you've got, I would say, favourable, nothing's a gimme, but favourable draws, why the hell not think, well, if we can get a point away from home against a game that many would have said, you'll get nish for that, zilch, niente, we have. I think for then you've got to start looking at the home games you thought were favourable, going, go out there and fucking show what you can do, and go get the 3 points in that as well. It's not. I don't think anyone is in the dodgy area though. To be honest with you, mate, of going, well, we'll expect to win that. We'll win that. I don't think anyone thinks that with Celtic in the Champions League, but no one expected this tonight. And if anything, having hope is an amazing feeling after 3 games in the Champions League, 2 away from home. 2 against a Champions League finalist away from home, Europa League winners away from home, and a team we should beat at home that we scalped. I would say we're sitting fucking pretty on the 4 points that we've achieved so far.
Do you expect us to beat Young Boys at home?
Expect again is not the word I'm literally pushing against you with, so I don't know why you're going back. It's up to you. In my opinion, personally, I expect us to put in a performance that looks like a team that wants to win that game, that is trying to achieve to win that game, not compete and try and match their football and just see how it goes out. I want
Will you be disappointed if we don't get full points in the home games against Bruges and Young Boys?
Yes, definitely disappointed. That's a better way of putting it, though. Because I don't think it's fair to just go, I expect us to win that.
No. I think we're both saying the same thing. All I'm trying to do is pull the handbrake on a wee bit. Tonight we've got a point that we didn't expect to get, but we could slip up in a game that we expect to get 3 points in.
But no, you've jumped the gun on that. For me personally, I just go, tonight's a real achievement for me. And I actually think the first game as well, the Bratislava one, as much as you should beat them, Celtic never do what they should do in the Champions League. And we scalped them. We've never done that in the Champions League. Tonight, we did what we shouldn't have done. So we've seen 2 sides of Celtic, and in the middle of it, done what probably expected, if you want to use that word, and that was get cuffed away from home by better opposition. And when we concede 1, concede 2, concede 3 in rapid sort of moments of play. I'm confident going into the home games from 2 out of the 3 so far, that the games I think we've got a chance in, we might actually do what we think we can do. I'm not going to go in though and say, expect us to, I want us to believe we can win. I believe we can win them. And for 2 out of 3 games so far, Celtic have put me in a more confident mindset that will occur. Is that not? I think that's a good way of putting it, yeah?
We're ahead of schedule, 5 games left. We don't need to look too far ahead. We can just enjoy tonight's game. But if you want to look really, really far ahead, Aston Villa, I think, are in first place in this whole thing. Before tonight's games, Aston Villa 3 out of 3 beat Bayern Munich, beat whoever else they beat.
Villa will be a nightmare away though.
Well, it might be a nightmare away, but they'll be long
through
gone.
already.
They'll be long through by that time.
I know.
And probably trying to get into the top 4 again. So there's potential there that you don't play their strongest.
I think we do our business at home now. We've probably got the bonus point that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think
now it's about, and I want this. It's not expectancy. It's about going. What's your KPIs in the Champions League? If there's a winnable tie at home at the top table, go get it. That is something that would be, to me, a key performance indicator as to where the team's at.
Yeah.
It's not saying you'll beat Bruges at home, you'll beat Young Boys at home, but it's going, beat them both at home, as well as the Bratislava one. Then you could definitely say these are indications Rodgers' team has progressed massively for last year. That's totally fair.
Oh. I just was checking the other scores there and see how we got Barcelona 4, Bayern Munich 1. Wow.
But
anyway,
in München.
I think now we've
in Bayern, in München, in Germany,
in Bayern, in Germany.
Could I just say, yeah, I Rambo.
I also think, Bhoycie, now we've broken this away hoodoo. I do think there's an away game in there that we can go and win. I think we can go and win in Croatia.
Of course we can. They conceded 9 in one of their games already this campaign.
We're getting through this
tonight. I think so. I think it's going to be. I think we should be always aiming for the last 16 of the Champions League. See, forget the change of format. You should always be aiming before and this season for the last 16 of the Champions League. That's the dream. And see, when you do it, it's an amazing achievement. If we make the last 24, we give ourselves 2 more games to make said last 16.
And make
then bring, and there's more dough. There's more dough either way though. But the way
I say that, Zagreb are leading the way to Red Bull Salzburg.
But they didn't get obsessed with other people's results.
No,
my obsession is with how we are.
That's the thing about this. That's the thing about this format, Bhoycie. You're watching every single game because every single game affects you. It's good. It's good fun. I enjoy this format. I really do.
But if other people are doing what you're doing, that say support another team that are maybe in Celtic sort of prism,
they're going, oh,
how the fuck did they get 0-0 at Atalanta?
They stole a point.
Yeah, that starts fucking waking up other people's sort of attitudes. From Brendan's point of view, Terry, before we wind up, I just want your thoughts on, a lot of people got the fear from his press conference. A lot of people thought, oh, he's been stubborn. I mean, by the way, the previous manager said all the same stuff and people seem to, get a bit giddy about that sort of attitude. Brendan says it and it seems to give people the fear, which I don't quite get. However, tonight, do you know what's enthused me the most? That is not what I expected from the team. That type of display. That side of the game, we're never used to domestically because we dominate the ball. In terms of getting batterings, we tend to just concede goals. We looked resolute tonight. We looked like we accepted we were up against a better team at times. And when we had to sit back, we did. But that was a defensive performance. And blockings on the line or undersides. This all happened through the run to Seville. Nothing was all like rainbows and unicorns and, the football was just unbelievable. It blew everyone away. It's never been like that. But this was the other side that really encourages me. And I'm not convinced we've seen that other side since maybe Lenny 2012 or maybe against Lazio, the couple of games at times, albeit we still had more of the ball in those games. Tonight, though, at Champions League level, as you rightfully said, one of those teams you expect to be last 8 territory when all's said and done. Celtic, to me, showed that other side that I kind of missed for a Celtic team. Remember we were talking about the old centre-back who'll put his head on the line and all that last-ditch defending stuff at the weekend. We've seen a lot of that tonight. I loved it. I'm all for it.
I think, Bhoycie, see if you went back and watched that second half tomorrow without the emotion, I think you would come out of that saying we were comfortable in the second half. I thought the first half was fraught with danger. I thought I wouldn't say you're going to have to ride your luck to a certain degree, I thought Kasper Schmeichel was
Exactly.
excellent tonight. I thought Schmeichel was excellent. He didn't have to make any world-class saves, but anything he had to do, he done well. He didn't spill anything. Everything was straight into the hands.
How much
No spillage.
confidence does he ooze, though, as well, for the four guys in front of him?
Well, I was listening to
Big
Joe
thing,
Hart.
innit?
I was listening to Joe Hart as in co-commentary, and I was thinking, Joe, I loved you, but I'm so glad it's Kasper Schmeichel in goals tonight and not you. But
do you not think it transpires, though, mate?
Yeah.
Do you not think there's moments where you can tell, though,
stopped him.
but the defence, though, mate, I think they feed off. I think he
Of course
brings
they do.
them more
Of course they do.
confidence.
If
No
you've
offence to Hart, by the
confidence-
way, but it was just, I think they're more confident at times going, I'm going to play that ball back to him. It's a bit of a hospital pass, but he'll know the right thing to do. He won't panic. And whatever talking he's doing will just be up there with Joe Hart's, which Joe Hart got a hell of a lot of praise for before. So let's just say that's on a par. I think the footwork thing, see, imagine being able to go, I can nick the ball back to him and it'll be safe enough because he'll actually know what to. That breeds confidence in the defenders to then follow what the real ideology is of playing total football and all that carry on. But we'll wind it up, Terry. I just want your final thoughts on tonight overall.
Well, a couple of other things just to touch on. I actually think when we got to that last segment, that last 15 minutes, I think Rodgers fancied it, and he could have gone for the safe option and brought on Forrest for Maida, but he brought on Palma, and he brought on Palma in my mind as a risk reward option because
a wild card.
You probably, he'd be the last person if you're thinking of bringing someone on for the last 15 minutes of a really disciplined performance where the team has kept their shape, everyone's done their tracking back, and we need someone to come on and do that for the last 15 minutes. Palma ain't your man. And I think he's brought him on as a sort of risk and reward option. Yeah, do you know what? He can get a goal. Now, he didn't get a chance as it turns out, but we did get for that 15 minutes, we did get the effort and application and determination from Lewis Palma.